G'day and welcome back to another video. So we're finally planting out our tomatoes. Spring has sprung, the weather's nice, we've just had 100 mil of rain and apparently we're due for another 100 mil of rain. So I'll show you our process of planting out our tomatoes and then I'll show you the varieties we're going to use. But first things first, we need to prepare our patch. So the sun's behind me, so I don't want to get too much shadow in the way. So I'll start with a hole. I'll put one, two, I'm going to put 8 in here. So we'll start off by scratching back this and seeing what's under here. So that's looking, look at that, that's looking really good, really moist underneath there. There's a worm right there. So the worms are there, look at the worms all in there. So I dig this a little bit because I don't want to disturb it all. Then we get our compost. Now we use good quality compost. It's taken me ages to find a good quality compost, but look how light and fluffy that is. And you grab it, you squeeze it, it holds together and then it crumbles. So this particular compost is from Vasily's garden. So I'll make a bit of a, spread it out and make a bit of a hole. This is hard to do one-handed, so I'm only going to show you one plant. And then I'll get a good heap of compost, chuck it in there, stir it around a bit, and we'll make a hole to get our first tomato in. This is not the best camera work, but it is what it is when you're on your own today. So yeah, I'll show you the varieties we've got. I'll bring the first one over, we'll get it in the ground, and then I'll explain to you what I'm going to do. So here's our selection of tomatoes I'm going to use. All these were started by seed, and as I've stated in a previous video, this is an heirloom one from the Diggers Club. It's tomato granny throwing. The actual variety is called a, I don't know, pom. See if I can get the back of that. Yeah, but that's what it is anyway. So to put these in the ground, I'm not really worried about, a lot of people plant their tomatoes nice and deep, but what I do is I pick off all these bottom leaves and the suckers. See these suckers? I want them off, because by the time I plant this in the ground, I put a bucket over them. So I've got a bucket with a hole cut out of it, goes straight over the top of the plant, and you can see how high it's going to stick out. So there's still a few more I can take, but I'm not going to do that just yet. I'll wait till it grows up a little bit. And the idea behind that, you can either plant it deep and all this section will grow roots. See all those fine hairs? They actually are roots. So I plant it in the ground, let it grow up a bit, put the bucket over it, bring it to a level, and that's where the plant starts growing, and it'll just grow a good structure. So we've got that variety there. We've got a ram's horn, we've got a beefsteak, gross lissy. These are our Vasily's big Malacca tomatoes. Hopefully they're going to go really well too. And I'll possibly put a Roma in as well. I'm thinking I'm going to put 8 in this particular garden bed. So let's get on to planting these and see how they go. So I've got all the tomatoes. Now you've seen how the hole. Now look at the root system on this tomatoes. They're nice, white and clean. So this tomato It's basically going to get put into the hole, covered back over. I'll fill it over with compost, and then I'll come back and explain what I'm going to do, because this is pretty hard to do one-handed. I mean, I could have a crack, but you don't get the full effect. So we just fill it back over with the soil, tomatoes in there, grab some more of our compost, plenty of compost to feed, pack it in nice and tight, push him down, and that's basically one tomato plant planted. Then we get our mixture of, that's a mixture of seaweed emulsion and fish emulsion, and we just basically give it a really good watering in. Just not great with the camera today, so that's had a really good watering in. I'll cover it all back over, and then I'll show you what's going to happen when we get the bucket happening. So yeah, we've got another couple in. I've covered them over at the moment. So basically, with our tomatoes, we're going to slip our bucket over the top like such and let them grow up. Now once they grow up to a height, I'm actually going to fill this entire bucket with compost and maybe some soil mixed in, and that'll give me this whole area plus what I've planted into the ground a nice big strong solid root system. And of course I'm going to let the plants probably grow 6 foot tall. So yeah, I'll get on with planting out the rest of the garden of tomatoes, and we'll see how they'll look at the end. So I thought I'd just jump in here and give you a good quick close-up. In the previous video of where I prepared a garden bed, you saw that I threw in the superfood and the coffee grounds and all that, so I thought I'd give you a good look at what's underneath this. It's dry on top, but what's underneath. So we start peeling it back, and as you can see there's what looks like mold, and that's all good fungus and bacteria, and they call it mycelium or something to that effect. So but just look how nice it is under here. And if I start digging deeper, there's a chunk of coffee ground there. There's worms. If I get in there, so we got there's worms. There's worms everywhere in here, which is a really good indication that stuff's going on. It's nice and moist in here. I probably don't even need to be watering these in to start with, but look, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 worms in just that little space there. So I'll get on to planting these. So this little section is purely for my own records. I've put my 8 tomato plants in here. So I've got the Granny's Throwing, Big Malacca, out of the sun, Ram's Horn, Roma, Grosslessy, and a beefsteak. So they're all in, they're all planted, and a bit later on I'll get on to planting the ones outside in the garden bed. So until the next video, see you all on the next one.